Yeah. Glitch the guarantee. E&E. Put your boy shit. Glitch, nigga. Shit, I'm about to flood the streets like when the levees break. Criminal minds, my Garcia can navigate. Flowing while I'm blowing this gas. Nigga, no breaks. Niggas not seeing me ever. I mean, no dates. Fuck around and end up gold. You get in this place. E&E, the shit that I claim. You dealing with grace. Took over the game by storm like Rain's mixtape. Thankfully, I've been up in smoke like my mixtape. Counting cheddar shit, I'm about to make a grilled cheese. Niggas be faker than bad bitches with good weeds. On my John Wick shit like Keanu Reeves. Replacements won't be enough, you need the whole team. I've been a G since I could finish my ABCs. Kept it a buck so real niggas look up to me. This butcher boy shit get crazy when it's sick of me. I'm coughing out these dope bars till they sick of me.
Can't get rid of me, still can't find a remedy. Still blowing palmers, infill cups of Hennessy. E&E, we own our shit independently. When I go out on a limb, I take extremities. I can see right through on transparency. Heard they self-esteem low, insecurities. Now or never, like Glitch the guarantee. What's the recipe? King L's Reflection 3. All these chapters in my life, you can turn a page. Books can't tell you my story, gotta live a day. Glitch got my back, yeah, you can copy that. Man, we control the seat, you can copy that. Leave your whole state red like Republicans. Putting fire on the track, now it's bubbling. Butcher boys, E&E, you in trouble, kid. Add first 100 mil, you can double it.
Let's go, let's go. All the hustlers getting money, let it show. Let it show. Automatic nigga, how we get the dough. Get the dough. If it ain't paper, then we probably gotta go. Gotta go. Butcher boy shit, nigga, let's go. Let's go. All the hustlers getting money, let it show. Let it show. It's automatic nigga, how we get the dough. Get the dough. If it ain't paper, then we probably gotta go. Gotta go. Butcher boy shit, nigga, let's go.
Blow sick, corona, jealous in the motherfucker. Can't even take a step, that's how far I trust you. This black boy turned to shine the king under pressure. West side fat jacks, I took more to measure. Shave the extras, that's business, starter fees. Street blues, what I talk, royal blood flowing free. Power on my mind, knows the gang is kind. Read between the lines, it was in my eye. If they ain't got real lines, it ain't hard to spot a counterfeit. Undefeated, ultra real, Fern Gully Mountain shit. Couple hot shots, turn on the frozen margaritas. Even better when it's served with some flawless features. Next year they gotta pay for these flawless features. Flawless victories from the flaws that they teach us. Now my flow imitate how I board the plane non-stop. The little J gon' take over with my time side.
Yeah, I get right to it. My nigga, we beg your pardon. We putting niggas back in boxes. Yeah, they be harder. My flow be retarded. Sick, I need hella help. My groove came back. This must be how Stella felt. We just started kicking it like a yellow belt. We all made it to the pros. This is how LaMelo felt. You better yell out help. Here comes the double team. You catch me in the spot, then you know that the boy is clean. The Louis V look mean with the magazine. So if you try it, you get shot. No vaccine. If you was asleep before I came, then I'm the caffeine. I pulled the jokers out the deck. Yeah, there ain't no laughing. In CEO fashion, we sticking to the business. Wouldn't even let a vegan knock me off my chicken. Something about the VVS when the sun is hitting. Should be flashing like the lights when you getting
Let's
tickets.
go, let's go. All the hustlers getting money, let it show. Let it show. It's automatic, nigga, how we get the dough. Get the dough. If it ain't paper, then we probably gotta go. Gotta go. Put your boy shit, nigga, let's go. Let's go. All the hustlers getting money, let it show. Let it show. It's automatic, nigga, how we get the dough. Get the dough. If it ain't paper, then we probably gotta go. Gotta go. Put your boy shit, nigga, let's go.
Yeah, y'all already know what it do, what it is, what it be, man. We back at it. You did? We back at it. We back at it, you did? Smash that like button, click on the bell, subscribe to the page, man. My man Flytown 614, what's good? What happening? Right? It's here, y'all. We finally made it. We down to the very last sustainable development goal in UN Agenda 2030 for global sustainability. And it ain't no mystery mistake that the last goal is partnerships for the goals, right? It ain't no mystery. It ain't no mistake, man. You understand me, man? Strengthen the means of implementation and revitalize the global partnership for sustainable development. All right. Pay attention to that first part. Strengthen the means of implementation. Strengthen the means of implementation. Right? That means they're going to give a lot of funding and a lot of focus. They're going to put a lot of money into strengthening, making the implementation of the goals more pervasive and more invasive. Right? And when they say they want to strengthen the means of implementation, that means they're going to make it more severe. They're going to make it more strict. It's going to be more imposing. This means that what is going to happen as a result of implementing UN Agenda 2030, right? That means it's going to get more severe. This means that our lifestyles are going to change in that there's going to be made more increasingly difficult to function in society without adhering to any of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. That's what they mean by when they say strengthen the means of implementation. They're going to give a lot of funding to and put a lot of effort in behind making stronger the implementation of the SDG goals. So, right, if we think about SDG 1, right, if we think about SDG 1, Sustainable Development Goal 1, which is no poverty, how are they going to strengthen the means of implementing no poverty? Right? Uncle Diggity, what's good? This is very diabolical, y'all, man. This last one is like the icing on the cake. Right? So when we're talking about strengthening the means of implementation, and when we're talking about strengthening the means of implementation, they're talking about increasing the severity of the parameters and the new laws that are going to happen as a result of implementing these SDG goals. And when we're talking, like I said, let's take number 1, no poverty. SDG 1, no poverty. Let's take that into consideration, right? What do you think are going to be some of the ways they're going to strengthen the implementation of no poverty? Right? How about one world digital currency, assigned housing, assigned employment? Man, y'all better tighten up, man. Y'all better realize what's going on with SDG 1 through 17 with the UN Agenda 2030, man.
Strengthen the means of implementation and revitalize the global partnership for sustainable development. Union doesn't only create strength, it also avoids the weakness and the defeat that individualism causes. Carrying out alliances and collaborations between the different actors of the planet is fundamental to achieving the rest of the SDGs. These alliances are constructed on the basis of principles and values, a shared vision and common aim that give priority to people and the planet, and that are necessary on a global, regional, and local scale. As well, it's necessary to encourage a more equal universal trade system. Every time there are more and more humanitarian crises that demand more levels of resources and financing help. Only through these alliances between actors and the reorientation of the most unfavorable areas can the objectives and sustainable development goals in the new global agenda be achieved. To achieve the sustainable development goals, we should all unite. Governments, civil society, scientists, the academic world, and the private sector. Today, we are closer to achieving it than yesterday. This campaign is an example of strength of the alliances. It was born as a local project, and there are already 40 companies in 18 countries involving close to 500,000 people and more than 18,000 volunteers. Through your participation in this initiative, you can be an example for many to follow. You can be the person that changed things, that was remembered for a long time. You can invest part of your money and your time that you hadn't even thought about what to do with in an activity where someone will always thank you. Foreign aid, cooperation, and union is the biggest wave of human warmth in the world. What can we all do? 1. Follow the local news and keep yourself up to date on the Sustainable Development Goals. They are real, and we are going to achieve them. You can be part of them in an active way through social media, inspiring your contacts. 2. Make use of our right to choose our country and community leaders. Let's be conscious of who they are and what they are going to fulfill. 3. Share our concerns with friends and family and unite to create a common action. For example, make calendars with the images of trips and assign the profits of sales for the needed people of that country. Together, everything is easier. 4. Make and encourage volunteering as a value and participation tool. Choose your cause and, like Gandhi said, be the change that you want to achieve. 5. Promote SDGs through available and free materials and volunteering programs.
That's SDG 17, Partnership for the Goals. What we are witnessing with Sustainable Development Goal 17, Partnership for the Goals, right? This is the implementation nationwide, especially or worldwide, especially amongst the so-called civilized countries of the world. You know, the modernized, what we call Western society, right? Now, think about this that just happened, y'all. Right? What y'all know about this that just happened?
We've decided to invite the Argentine Republic, the Arab Republic of Egypt, the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, the Islamic Republic of Iran, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates to become full members of BRICS. The membership will take effect from the 1st of January 2024.
I would like to congratulate our new members who will start working in a full-scale format next year. I would like to assure all our colleagues that we will continue the work that we have started today, expanding the influence of BRICS in the world. I'm referring to the establishment of practical work with new members of the organization and with those who will work in the
It's an interesting expansion. We had mooted that Saudi may well join, Jen, but this seems to be a church for all. Xi Jinping speaking at the moment. Tell us more.
Yeah, Manis, and I know you and I both spoke to Jim O'Neill the other day, who said Saudi would be a pretty big deal if it was added to the bloc. And what we just heard, the leaders are still speaking upstairs right now, is that it's not just going to be Saudi, as you mentioned, or the UAE. It's 6 countries, and it went from 4 to 6 countries overnight. So what we heard, it's Ethiopia, Iran, the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Indonesia, and Egypt, all being added to the BRICS bloc. And what we heard from Cyril Ramaphosa is that they will be assumed as members beginning in January of 2024. And each of the leaders right now is really speaking about the relationship that their own individual countries have with these new BRICS members, to be BRICS members, and just what they see the future multi.
Congratulated India for landing a lunar model on the moon.
What y'all know about BRICS? All white bricks, white tan bricks. All right. Y'all better realize what's going on, man. This is what Partnership for the Goals is all about. Now look at all of the countries that are considered part of the BRICS bloc, right? Right? They just added or invited 6 new countries today. Right? BRICS is Brazil, Russian Federation, India, China, and South Africa. And they just invited 7 more countries: Iran, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Somalia. Now, when you look at all of these countries, China, Brazil, Russia, India, South Africa, in all of these countries, right? In all of these countries, UN Agenda 2030 is in full effect. In China, we have the social credit system in full effect. In Brazil, right, we have the structure and the geological layout for stack 'em, pack 'em housing. Same thing in China. Same thing in Russia. Same thing in India. In India, they already have a caste system that has been in place for the past 1,000 years. In South Africa, they got a lot of natural resources down there, right? And as far as UN Agenda 2030 goes, it's on and cracking down in South America or South Africa, right? Y'all go look at each one of these countries, and when you look at the SDG goals, the Sustainable Development Goals, 1 through 16, actually 17, including the one we on tonight, you'll see that they're all in full effect in these countries. Don't let Vladimir Putin fool y'all, man. I got a lot of respect for Vladimir for standing up against the Windsors, and I got a lot of respect for him for, not having respect for them. But he still is a part of the system nonetheless. He's not a rogue. You know, Vladimir Putin would just as much love to run stuff as much as the Windsors would like have to, but you know, they serve different people. They serve different masters. Right? Let's go.
What is BRICS? BRICS, or Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, is a group of 5 leading emerging economies. BRICS emerged in 2001 as BRIC and was later joined by South Africa in 2010. The group became a formal geopolitical entity from 2009 onwards, with summits and coordination of policies. The BRICS countries account for around 27% of the world's land surface and approximately 42% of the global population. The grouping is considered a competitor to the G7 bloc, with competing institutions and initiatives in the areas of development economics, financial reserves, currencies, and payments. What is BRICS? BRICS, or Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, is a group of 5 leading emerging economies. BRICS emerged in 2001 as BRIC and was later joined by South Africa in 2010. The group became a formal geopolitical entity from 2009 onwards, with summits and coordination of policies. The BRICS countries account for around 27% of the world's land surface and approximately 42% of the global population. The grouping is considered a competitor to the G7 bloc, with competing institutions and initiatives in the areas of development economics, financial reserves, currencies, and payments. What is BRICS?
All right. BRICS. All white bricks, white tan bricks. Pay attention to this, y'all. This is what they're talking about when they're talking about partnerships for the goals. Do not let Putin, Xi Jinping, don't let Vieira, Joshinker, man, Pander, don't let any of these guys fool you. They are all under the employ of the Rothschilds. Now, I know a lot of y'all might be aware that there was some stuff going on the internet not too long ago where Vladimir Putin allegedly kicked the Rothschilds out of Russia. Yeah, all right. Let's go. Oh, I didn't realize that the president of South Africa is a woman. What y'all know about more than 40 countries? All right. More than 40 countries are talking about joining the BRICS. What y'all know about that?
Now, the BRICS group is looking at a possible expansion as it is set to hold its annual summit next month. This year's host, South Africa, says that several nations have expressed interest in joining the bloc. Among them is Algeria. The North African country has applied to join the group and submitted a request to become a shareholder member of BRICS Bank with an amount of $1.5 billion.
Yeah.
BRICS is seeking to be an alternative to the powerful Western-led blocs. Expansion of BRICS will be high on the agenda during the meeting, which will be held in Johannesburg from the 22nd to the 24th of August. South Africa's envoy to the bloc claimed that more than 40 nations are interested in becoming its members. These nations include Argentina, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. The envoy, Anil Sukal, said that at least 22 nations have formally approached BRICS countries to become full members, while an equal number of nations have informally expressed interest. Sukal also said that BRICS is fast emerging as a powerful bloc, and together the member nations account for over 31% of global GDP when measured by the purchasing parity. Now, these tall claims are an indication of the bloc's aspirations to increase its political clout. It has taken some effective measures to challenge Western dominance, like creating its own development bank and initiating a common currency for its members. However, analysts say that the group has till now had a mixed record, which is yet to be seen whether its potential would be realized in the future.
Partnerships for sustaining the goals, or partnerships for the goals, right? Do y'all see what's happening? Now, when you look at the countries around the world, right? How many countries are a part of the UN? Right? Mm-hmm. Smash that like button, click on the bell, man. Subscribe to the page, man. Tap in and walk with us. Now, this might be the most crucial one out of all 17 because this is the culmination of all 16, right? This is when we're getting down to the nitty gritty. Right? What the hell? Tap in and walk with us, man. 193 countries are part of the United Nations, right? See if we're gonna find a better map. I like that map right there, but that's kind of blurry. Right. Y'all better realize what's going on, man. And understand what is actually the situation with this UN Agenda 2030 for global sustainability, man. You got the majority of countries on the planet are part of the United Nations, man. How long do y'all think it's going to be before all nations are part of the United Nations, making it a global government? I like this map right here. Man, what happened to it? So you be going to some of these pages and it'd be something different, man. I don't want to see no video. See what I'm saying? All right. Right. Look how many countries is part of the UN. Most countries on the planet are part of the UN, man. You know, there's not too many countries that are not. You know, look at the countries that are in the BRICS. All right. All the countries that are in the BRICS. All right. BRICS admits 6 new members, man. Now look at this map right here, man. Tap in and walk with your brethren, man. Right? They just admitted 6 new countries to the BRICS block. Right? So now we have Brazil, which is a member of the United Nations. We have Russia, a member of the United Nations. India, a member of the United Nations. China, a member of the United Nations. Argentina, a member of the United Nations. Egypt, a member of the United Nations. Iran, member of the United Nations. Saudi Arabia, a member of the United Nations. United Arab Emirates, a part of the United Nations. Now, here's where you got to connect the dots at with this, y'all, right? Smash that like button, click on the bell, subscribe to the page, man, right? Partnership for the goals. All of these countries are all currently under the process of either having fully assimilated all of the SDG goals within their infrastructure, or a nice majority of them. Guess what countries check off on the list of SDG goals? The BRICS countries. If you go look at Brazil, Russia, if you go look how the infrastructure is set up, if you go look in these countries and you see that they have UN Agenda 2030 goals, SDG goals in full implementation, right? But all the Western countries, America, Canada, United Kingdom, all the ones that are part of the G7 summit and the G8, or I said G7, G8, right? Over here in America, we're not implementing UN Agenda 2030 sustainable development goals like how it is in Russia or Brazil or China or India or South Africa. Or the United Arab Emirates. You understand what I'm saying to y'all? And all these other countries joining, Argentina, Egypt, Ethiopia, all of these countries have fully implemented UN Agenda 2030 sustainable development goals within the infrastructures of their countries and economies. So not only are they already under the jurisdiction of the United Nations and have, if not fully, damn near, almost fully have adopted all of the 17 sustainable development goals within the infrastructure of their society and economy, within a political structure and a societal structure, right? They're also now about to have access to other countries, smaller economies joining together. Do y'all see what's happening here, man? We got Russia and China and Brazil, right? Look how big Russia is. Oh, man, my people suffer from the lack of understanding, man. You hear me? I want y'all to understand what's going on, man, right? And when we're talking about the last sustainable development goal, man, number 17, right? Talking about goal number 17, partnership for the goals. All of these countries, which right here are all the member countries of the United Nations, but the ones that's now forming the BRICS bloc, these are all nations that are fully implementing, if not all the, or that are partially, if not damn near fully implementing UN Agenda 2030 Sustainable Development Goals within their infrastructures. And so now they linking up, clicking up, connecting game, and allowing all the smaller economies from around the world, the so-called third world as well. And they're all linking up and joining and pooling their resources in efforts to compete with the petrodollar as it is losing its valuable daily. And they're going to come up. This is all leading to one world currency, a digital wireless one world currency that will be administered through the UN on behalf of the international banking system and structure, right? And guess who runs that? Not us. So understand what I'm talking about when I discuss UN Agenda 2030 with y'all, man. Understand that UN Agenda 2030 has no respect for race, color, creed, nationality. All of this stuff we seeing being done is to destroy nationality. And we all are being slowly indoctrinated in every way to be global citizens, which is why they are destroying all the, they really didn't even have to destroy all the lower economy. All they had to do was go to certain regions of the world, make them war-torn, right? Displace a lot of people. So they bend and destroy nationalism in this area of the world, y'all. In Europe, Africa, they've been destroyed nationalism in this region of the world. Russia is probably the only spot left. Russia and China. Everywhere else, it's all mixed up. Even in Saudi Arabia and in the Middle Eastern area. Right? You got people from everywhere, man. These people be speaking like 6, 7 different languages. They done lived in here for a year, lived here for a year, lived there for a year. You know, they're moving around. You know, this region, this whole region of the world right here between Africa and Eastern, Southern, Eastern, Western Asia and Europe, man, and, you know, that's just a war-torn area, man. You know? And it displaced a lot of people, exactly as designed to do. Right? And then we got Mother Russia, standing firm, you feel me, with their homeboy China right there. Right, but they are all part of the United Nations, right? And like I said, man, they've been implementing these sustainable development goals over here a little bit more intense than over here, right? And I say over here where we at. Why you think there's so many countries over here in South America trying to join up with them? It's a lot of these countries, Brazil being one, that are not okay with being part of the North American Union. They're not okay with linking up with the alleged Canada, United States, Mexico bloc or union. You know, they don't want to be a part of that. Brazil don't, Argentina don't, Chile, It does. We do a lot of business with Chile, but Argentina and Brazil, you know, Venezuela, especially since they done got old Hugo up out of there, you feel me? Y'all don't even understand the chess play that's at play, the chess moves that's being made right now. And Sustainable Development Goal number 17, partnerships for the goals, right? It's all about the powerful countries around the world linking up and giving the funds via the IMF, right, to upgrade their infrastructures to be synced and linked to the smart grid. Why you think China and Russia is linking up? What you think Vladimir Putin is over there doing in Russia? Why you think him and Xi Jinping is so cool? Same thing going on in, god darn it, China with them empty ass huge cities, right? The social credit system that's in place in so many cities in China, right? Telling you, man, they got it on lock over there in that region of the world, y'all. Y'all don't even understand what's going on, man. You know what I mean? Ain't none of these people our friends. The people that run the governments and stuff, they all don't care about none of us, man. You know, Vladimir Putin ain't no angel, man. You know what I'm talking about? Y'all better understand who these people are, man. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, they all out for their best interest, not our best interest. You did. How do we benefit from the BRICS nations over here in America? Right? You know what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying, y'all, man? Y'all understand the chess moves that's going on with UN Agenda 2030 for global sustainability. Do not allow all of this stuff we see in the media to trick us, to trick you, to confuse you, to what can I say, to manipulate you. You know what I'm saying? To make you think that somehow these people are looking out for the best interests of these so-called citizens of these countries who are the members and the growing members. As we see, 6 new nations just joined the BRICS, right? Y'all better understand what's going on. Y'all better understand what is going on with this power move right here, y'all. You understand me? This is a huge power move, man. This is bringing us ever more closer to a global system and structure, right? Because once that American petrodollar and the US dollar crashes all the way, I'm sitting up here trying to tell y'all, man, y'all better understand what's about to happen in our country, man. Y'all better understand what's about to go down in America, man. America, Russia, China, United Kingdom. Well, I guess you could say the United Kingdom. And Canada, man, I guess you could say you could throw a few more countries in there if you wanted to, though. But really, if you want to be honest, serious about it, North Korea, Iran, Russia, China. These are like the only 4 countries left on the planet, allegedly, that aren't under the full bootstrap of the Rothschilds. Used to be Libya, but you see what they did to Muammar. Muammar predicted what was going to happen too. About a year or two before they sit up there and disrespected that man on national TV like that. That old demonic ass ritualistic sacrifice they did on national TV. You know what I'm talking about? I want y'all to understand what is happening, man. You hear me? We over here in this region of the world, we haven't been as influenced by the United Nations like these other countries around the world because we haven't experienced what they've been experiencing with regime change and perpetual war going on for the past, let's say, like 50, 60 years. We haven't been experiencing that over here. They've been feeling it a little bit in South America, Central America. But up here our way, Mexico started to feel it for the past 20 some odd years. But up here in America, Canada, we never experienced regime change in the way that other countries experience it. You know. And that's for good reason. You see, now that the United Nations is down there completely taking over the whole world, man. down there, all countries on planet Earth are members of the United Nations. Or if not, surrounded by countries that are. Right? This map right here, every country you see lit up on this map is a member of the UN. Right? And all the BRICS nations are the ones that are implementing SDGs goals within the infrastructures of their countries. In some shape or form, way more than Western countries are. When you go to countries like China, you go to Chinese cities, they're clean. There's plenty of housing for everybody. They got good sanitation. Their education system's point. Their populations is on point. They listen to what I'm telling y'all. They got the social credit system over there in China. They're some of the smartest in the world. They perform in all areas out than most other countries. Their population is in control and getting under wraps. Now, I don't know how the gender equality thing is working out there in China. Y'all know that's one of the sustainable development goals, gender equality. I don't know how that's working in China, being a traditionally patriarchal society for the past 10,000 or more years. I don't know how that's going to work out in China. They got stack 'em, pack 'em housing out there. They got transportation, public transportation on point out there, light rail, above ground, below ground, walking, bikes, electrical bikes, trains, buses. You hear me? All modes of transportation that can make a city fully automated, they have. They're the most advanced technological wise. And as far as infrastructure and residents, you know, they got the stack of, they got this whole entire cities in China just empty, waiting to be populated. Y'all ready to do y'all research on what's going on in China, man. The social credit system is in full effect in, I want to say, at least 14 Chinese cities. You understand? There's numerous cities in China where populations are like 10 plus million people. You understand? Like a billion plus people live in China. You understand? There are cities in China that we ain't never even heard of with populations of like 8 million people. You know how many people live in Beijing, China, man? Y'all Google the population of Beijing. See how many people live in China, in Beijing, in that city. I would not even want to live in this city that had this many people in it. Over 21 million people live in Beijing. That is insane. $21 million people. That's a mega city. Right? 21 million people. Right? There are cities in China where the populations are 4 million, 2 million, 8 million, 7 million. There's numerous cities like that in China, y'all. I want y'all to understand that, man. Right. Now, Shanghai is the largest city. How many people you think live in Shanghai, China? Right. China is huge. There's over 1 billion people that live in China alone. I want y'all to understand that. And these countries all are implementing sustainable development goals, and they are being given heavily funds and support from the IMF, which is also ran by the UN. They're also getting a lot of funding and, other things from organizations like the WHO, the World Health Organization, which is administered by the UN. They're setting up global system, global government right in our face, man. And when we're talking about Sustainable Development Goals number 17, this is basically the Sustainable Development Goal is to acquire as many countries as possible to adopt these Sustainable Development Goals in order to create a global government. I mean, the play is it's just transparent. Right? Do y'all understand? Do you understand what's going on with this, man? Huh? Do y'all get what's happening with UN Agenda 2030 for global sustainability, right? They're setting the play up right in our face, man. Right in the face.
South African Ambassador Anil Suklal said that 30 other countries are willing to join the BRICS alliance, which is comprised of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, where they also have their own currency. Doing so would make the euro and the dollar worth less than those countries' alliances. So, you know what? I'm interested to see what will form from that. Of course, we know the United States is frowning upon that alliance as they do not want people to stop using the dollar. But, you know, those are some superpowers, so what can you really do about it? But yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see if those 30 other countries like Algeria, Mexico, Nigeria, and Afghanistan, to name a few, if they'll actually do it. So we'll see. South African.
Man, listen here, man. Y'all better peep the play, man. Y'all better peep the play. They ain't playing no games with this stuff, man. They setting up the whole demo right in our face, man.
Economies including the US, UK, and Japan. And here's what some call the alternative from the developing world, the BRICS, formed by Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. The BRICS is trying to position itself as the voice for emerging economies and challenge Western dominance of global affairs. Its leaders are holding a summit in Johannesburg to discuss an historic expansion. More than 40 countries, including Saudi Arabia and Iran, want to join.
The expansion of BRICS is definitely the group's global influence.
Let's look at what a potential enlargement means for the alliance and its ambitions to shake up the global political and economic order.
The original term BRIC was actually coined by a Goldman Sachs banker, grouping these really different countries together because they were so fast growing.
The leaders of Brazil, Russia, India, and China formalized their relationship in 2009 and invited South Africa to join the alliance a year later.
They decided to take that idea in an effort to create a bit of a political and economic counterpoint to what's perceived as the Western hegemony of the global political and economic spheres.
The BRICS countries together make up more than 40% of the world's population and almost a third of the world's GDP. According to data from the International Monetary Fund, the bloc has already overtaken the G7 nations' share of the global economy on the basis of purchasing power parity. That's where the purchasing power of different currencies is equalized. Projections by Goldman Sachs show the world's economic balance shifting towards the BRICS and emerging economies. China is expected to overtake the US as the world's largest economy by 2050, with India climbing to number 3.
China and India have experienced massive growth since the BRICS were founded in 2009 and certainly have helped them swell in importance and remain relevant on the global stage.
China and Russia are pushing to enlarge BRICS. Experts say Beijing is keen to create an alternative grouping to counter the US and the West on the world stage.
China has been bullish on expanding BRICS for some time, and they're particularly keen at the moment because of the trade tensions with the US looking to diversify its supply chains away from China.
Russia sees an expansion as a way to gain more international allies following its full-scale invasion of Ukraine. South Africa publicly supports the expansion, as does Brazil. But experts say behind the scenes, Brazil and India want a more measured approach.
It seems that they are concerned about the group leaning too autocratic. So they want to have very specific requirements for admission to make sure that there's a balance amongst the members and that it doesn't become sort of the autocratic G7.
More than 20 countries have formally applied to become part of BRICS, ranging from Saudi Arabia to Ethiopia, Argentina, and Indonesia. Experts say Saudi Arabia is a strong candidate as a major economic and energy power in the Middle East, with a growing role in regional diplomacy. Indonesia, with the world's fourth largest population, is another strong contender.
Indonesia, being such a large economy and important in the electrification, clean energy tech, electric vehicles, might be a logical choice.
One reason for...
Did y'all hear what they talking about, man? These countries are implementing sustainable development goals. This is why they're being funded by the IMF. They're being supported by the World Health Organization. All branches of the United Nations, UNICEF, UNESCO. You hear me? Y'all better peep the play and understand what's going on. Just like my brother Uncle Diggity say, this is a Democrat-Republican type play. Yes. All right. Exactly. The only thing is over here in our country, the UN hasn't had that much of a foothold because up until recently, right, being UN members though, but we didn't have the majority vote. Now that all these countries done sit up over here and implemented these sustainable development goals, they're starting to create these blocks, BRICS, that have more economic power developing than what we say so, and they are chipping away at our ability to have so much veto power at the UN. Right? And now that the petrodollar is crashing, the BRICS dollar might be a little bit worth more than the G7 or G8. You understand? But like my brother Uncle Diggity says, the illusion of competition. At the end of the day, all of this is being ran by the same small group of people. So their main goal is to get the entire planet on one wireless digital currency, then eventually one global wage or range of wages, assigned housing, assigned employment, social credit systems, elimination of all personal vehicles, transition to electrical vehicles, and massive public transit like buses, electrical trains, electrical. Y'all see what they just said? Infrastructure, stack 'em, pack 'em housing. I told y'all the mega structures is coming. Y'all think I'm just be talking. I know a lot of y'all probably think they're looking for y'all. The mega structures are here. They're coming. Where do you think they're going to put all these people, man? Down there, 9 billion people. Where do you think they're going to put all these people? Down there, 1 billion people in China alone. Huh? 1 billion plus. You got cities with 10 million people in them. You understand how many people that is living in the area, man? You understand how big some of these cities are in China? You understand how long they've been implementing stack 'em, pack 'em housing? Think of when I talked to y'all about the movie Dread and the mega structures.
Joining the BRICS is gaining access to the bloc's new development bank. Since its founding in 2014, the bank has approved more than $30 billion in loans for development and infrastructure projects.
See? See what I'm saying? They are implementing sustainable development goals within their infrastructure. Y'all got to understand what's going on, man. And you would have thought that a country like America would have been ahead of this full steam, but no. Right? Y'all got to be able to peep the play, man.
Access to funding from this bank, which seem to be having more favorable terms than a traditional development bank like the World Bank or the IMF, is definitely something that's attractive to a lot of countries.
The new development bank also wants to deepen the use of local currencies instead of the US dollar for trade and financing between the BRICS nations. Ultimately, experts say one of the biggest challenges for the BRICS to counter the West is to form a united voice on major global issues.
Generally, the countries have pretty diverse and diverging interests in politics, on security issues, and even relations with the US. I think the group would like to be seen as an alternative political forum to the G7 group of developed nations. Whether or not it is able to achieve that, I think, will largely depend on what countries it admits.
Huh? Man, listen here, y'all, man. I'm sitting here trying to tell y'all, man. UN Agenda 2030 for global sustainability. Right? Now think about this now, man. Right? Think about this, man. You got the BRICS nations all clicking up, right? You got a lot of the nations from South America joining the BRICS. At the same time, you got the so-called alleged North American Union forming between Mexico, Canada, and America, right? You got the European Union still in effect, and you got the African Union in effect, and you got the Asia Pacific Union in effect. Man, listen, y'all got to understand what's going on, man. Like my brother Uncle Diggity say, the illusion of competition. All of these countries are administered or using United Nations SDGs within their governments, man, which means they have signed treaties, contracts with the United Nations to receive funding from organizations like the IMF, the WHO, World Health Organization, the International Monetary Fund, UNICEF, UNESCO, right? All these global think tank organizations, right? The UN Army, which is made up of soldiers from all over the world. Y'all better understand what's going on, man. They setting up global government right in our face. They've been doing it for the past 100 years, we could say. I guess you could say 100 years. Like in full throttle. And been quite successful with it, if I might add. Right?
Currently composed of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, is drawing suitors from all over the world who are interested in helping the bloc expand. South Africa's BRICS Sherpa Anil Suklal said that over 40 countries have expressed interest in joining the BRICS. Argentina, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the United Emirates are among the countries looking to join. Here's why. BRICS is an important platform for cooperation among emerging markets and developing countries. The bloc is also committed to reforming the global governance system, thus becoming a positive, stable, and constructive force in international affairs.
Did y'all hear what she just said?
Constructive force in international global governance and developing countries. The bloc is also committed to reforming the global governance system.
Global governance system. global governance system. I had a symbol right here. That's what I was looking for. No, it's not in here. Yeah, man. Oh, where'd it go? All right. Brownie, what's up, baby? I am Brownie. Oh, I was tripping when I seen that earlier. Oh, you done switch the whole thing? You got the $ by there and everything, huh? Right. Brownie said, F it, I'm gonna make my Cash App name tag my name on. Oh man, that's funny, man. Y'all go tap in with my baby Brownie, man. Go subscribe to her page, man. You hear me? She said, yes, my B-Day coming up. Oh, shit. Right? They're setting up global government right in our face, man. And they're using UN Agenda 2030 to do it. Right? They're using UN Agenda 2030 to do it. You know what I'm talking about? Y'all got to understand the play, man. Y'all got to peep the play, man. Huh? Let's go.
Thus becoming a positive, stable, and constructive force in international affairs. More so, many nations have grown wary of the United States dominating the global economy for decades, enforcing dollar transactions and imposing sanctions and economic coercion for non-compliance with U.S. directives. In contrast, BRICS countries adopt an open approach focusing on aid development, promoting investments, and fostering trade without imposing prerequisites. Most importantly, BRICS nations uphold multipolarity and multilateralism. The goals and values of BRICS countries are consistent with those of most countries in the world, which means the expansion of the bloc is only a matter of time.
Yes, sir. Y'all better understand what's going on with this, man. You got more than 40 countries that's talking about linking up with these people, with these, you know, they talking about like, man. Huh?
member countries of BRICS, a growing non-Western economic collective, are meeting for their 15th annual summit in South Africa this week with a big announcement. 5 new member countries have been added to the current bloc: Egypt, Ethiopia, Argentina, the UAE, Iran, and Saudi Arabia. They join current members Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Now, at the summit, leaders from member countries discussed de-dollarization, Western global hegemony, and moving toward a multipolar world.
In a thinly veiled statement, Chinese President Xi Jinping wrote, quote, "One country obsessed with maintaining its hegemony has gone out of its way to cripple the emerging markets in developing countries. Whoever is developing fast becomes its target of containment. Whoever is catching up becomes its target of obstruction. But this is futile. As I have said more than once, that blowing out others' lamp will not bring light to oneself." Joining us now to weigh in is editor at The Gray Zone, Max Blumenthal. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me on.
Now, this feels like a really significant global shift, and as people are saying, to Western hegemony that many people predicted as we headed into this Ukraine proxy war, China becoming more closely aligned with Russia, and this growth of this economic alliance that's meant to counterbalance Western hegemony and economic dominance seems to be really telling. Help us understand what's at stake here.
Well, this is the most historic gathering of the BRICS, which was founded in 2009 to democratize international trade and international institutions by fostering multipolarity, countering the bipolar, unipolar world that's emerged since the collapse of the Soviet Union, which has brought on disaster for the global South, as well as unchecked violations of international law through coalitions of the willing, as we've seen in Iraq and beyond. The BRICS aims to foster trade through a new development bank, as it's called, and this could potentially upend the hegemony, the domination of the dollar, particularly if states like Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, which provide the basis for the petrodollar, which is itself the foundation of dollar hegemony, if they join and begin trading in local currency. For example, Saudi Arabia is discussing trading or selling oil to China in renminbi, which would break the dominance of the petrodollar. So the reason this gathering is
how about completely, totally, and utterly destroy the power, spending and buying of the petrodollar?
Historic is because BRICS is actually talking about expanding and has pledged to expand to some very significant countries, including Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. But of course, expansion can bring a lot of political complication.
The U.S. has been trying to, flex its influence.
And when he said political complication, he means sovereignty amongst the citizenry. All your citizenry of your country might not be feeling too shabby about joining a collective of governments, which means some of their sovereignty as national citizens of the country is going to either be taken away or usurped in some type of way. Right? Understand what it means to be a global citizen, y'all. I know it sounds good in theory, but if we're going to be global citizens, that means we have to be under the jurisdiction of a global system that has to be able to be effective unilaterally. Man, y'all better understand what's going on, man.
All over the world for so long. We spent so much money. We're spending so much money right now in Ukraine, the projects in the Middle East, the bases everywhere, on and on and on. Do you think the American people might feel at some point cheated by their government that so much money of this money has been spent and you might say that was not a good idea to do this in the first place, but we did do it, and yet we did not. Our influence is in decline, despite how much effort and how many resources we've exhausted to remain, the top country, the top government in the world.
Well, our correspondent Anya Parampil is in Johannesburg covering the BRICS right now, and one thing she's noticed at a conference which mostly pertains to the nations of the global South, especially the non-aligned nations that didn't line up with the Soviet Union or the U.S. during the Cold War and which seek to fight for their independence, is the presence of many Americans as well as British reporters from places like The Economist. What are they doing there? Well, they sort of represent the interests of the G7, which is often posited as the dominant sphere of economic sphere, and they're threatened by what's happening at BRICS because of the prospect of de-dollarization, which is the dollar hegemony is the basis for U.S. financial sanctions, which are administered unilaterally, not through the UN, to destroy the economies and the people of countries from Syria to Venezuela to Cuba to countries like Eritrea, which is kind of the Cuba of Africa and has resisted IMF loans, taken its own line. And what the U.S. has done by actually sanctioning 1/3 of the world's population.
1/3 of the world's population. What did you think?
Think about that. Is created a backlash where these countries are now gathering together and figuring out how they can conduct trade and break away from the dollar. And you heard that expressed in the president's roundtable today that was held and convened by UN General Secretary Antonio Guterres from Venezuela, for example, or from Eritrea, about the unfairness of global relations with the dollar dominating all trade and their desire to break it. They're not hiding their agenda right now. However, there are other nations like Brazil, which have feared expansion of the BRICS because they don't want to come to loggerheads with the U.S. And Brazil has only agreed to allow Argentina in at this point. But the desire is there, the possibilities are there, and the U.S. is making it almost impossible for many of these countries to operate within the Bretton Woods system and not be financially immiserated.
So I think what's really important, if you want folks to really understand what's going on here, is to get at the root of what Xi Jinping was saying in the quote that we read at the top. This idea that this isn't conspiracy, this isn't just, our quote unquote enemy talking, but that it has been an explicit harshly inflicted policy of the United States of America to maintain global dominance by actively suppressing other countries as they grow and develop, either through sanctions, as you pointed out, with 1/3 of the world's people being sanctioned, or through other kind of economic tools like the IMF. But I do think sometimes we skip over how exactly something like the IMF, which many people understand is just a good thing that gives money to governments so that they can grow. And are we just being charitable? I mean, how do all of those global organizations, those financial organizations, act as a tool of the government in this way? And therefore, and how does that help us understand why this BRICS alliance and the growth of the BRICS alliance is so important to shaking off the shackles of U.S. control, economic control?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, that's the point of the New Development Bank, is to give out loans that are favorable to countries who do not want to have to meet the political conditions that the United States and its transatlantic partners mete out and impose on them. So we can look at what's happening in Argentina right now after years and years of austerity imposed by the IMF because their reserves are dried up and they're experiencing hyperinflation. The country's shifting right, and the front runner and
they weren't experiencing none of that when Hugo was in charge. When Chavez was alive, Venezuela was booming. Venezuela was the richest country in South America when Hugo was in office. He was doing very similar things to what Muammar was doing. And you see what they did to Muammar. Right.
Right-wing libertarian, which may actually complicate their BRICS membership as well as Latin American cooperation. Or we can think of this in light of the Hunter Biden scandal and what the IMF, how the U.S. uses the IMF even against supposed allies. Joe Biden, when his son was on the Burisma board, went to Kiev and threatened them with an IMF loan, showing how the U.S. can control the IMF, and said, you will not receive this loan unless you, quote, reform your judiciary, fire the prosecutor, and do everything that might have been needed to protect Burisma from prosecution. So it actually fostered more corruption in Ukraine. And then once they got the loan, they had to meet all these austerity conditions, which have doomed the Ukrainian population, of particularly Ukrainian workers, sold off their land. And so BRICS is presenting an alternative. And it's also politically significant that Russia and China are able to break through the attempts to isolate them, or in Joe Biden's words, reduce the ruble to rubble.
Lance Parker, what it do?
Address to BRICS pledged to actually supplant Ukraine as a global grain supplier to Africa, and promised tons and tons of free grain to Africa. Africa has experienced the brunt of the Ukraine proxy war and U.S. sanctions and complications of grain exports. And so this is massive for Africa. And then we can look at what's happening inside Africa in the Sahel region, where you have these popular coups overthrowing governments that had been tools of the West, particularly Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali, particularly tools of France. And Niger is following on the foothills of this multipolar development by starting a new company to not just export tomatoes and then import tomato paste, but to actually produce tomato-based products and to industrialize their gold production, which right now consists of a lot of youth in informal artisanal mines holding out pans in water. This is a massive development that will have a ricochet effect throughout the African continent.
Yeah, that's such an important point. I just did a deep dive on Niger on my own podcast recently. I was really shocked by an expert who was explaining the extent to which all of those countries in the so-called post-colonial era were very much still subject to control by France through their currency, and have been victims of a highly extractive relationship with France throughout, and had intentionally their infrastructure and their development thwarted, while China's approach has been to build stadiums and infrastructure, and that's part of why it's been so dominant. One last question that I had for you, though, is the American public, since the end of the Cold War, has been convinced that America's efforts to maintain global dominance are in the interest of the American people. There was the domino theory and broad public investment in the idea that you had to beat the Soviets, got to beat them to the moon, you got to beat them around the world. It justified any number of wars, Vietnam, et cetera, stopping the expansion of communism. Is something changing now, or are we still in a situation where the idea of other global powers emerging, namely China, is being used by people to beat the drum of war? And if that's the case, how should Americans think about the decline of American dominance globally? Are they wrong to think that it will negatively impact their standards of living? And why should they think differently about perhaps a kind of global solidarity?
Well, we're looking at the decline of American hegemony, but this doesn't necessarily mean that the U.S. is experiencing an economic decline.
Oh, come on, man. UN Agenda 2030 for global sustainability. America is the last economy to be assimilated up into the United Nations. Russia, kind of, sort of, Canada, Mexico. But as y'all see, Mexico is right. I want y'all to understand what's going on, man. Right? Right? I want y'all to understand what's going on, man. Like I've been telling y'all, it has already been settled. It has already been settled. There's really nothing we can do legislatively, politically, financially, legally. It has already been settled. What we are seeing now is basically the hostile takeover. Now, I'm sitting here and told y'all about the climate action and resilient plans, which are implemented all over the world. Right? And you see what's happening as a result of people who don't upgrade their. Why do you think all these people, all these other countries, why do you think all these other countries are so willing to join the BRICS? Why do you think all these countries like Somalia and stuff like that is wanting to join the BRICS? Right? Huh? That's because they don't want to get left behind, man. They don't want to be deemed unsustainable. Right? And as long as they be a part of the BRICS, they don't have to worry about, you understand what I'm saying, being deemed a human settlement zone. Right? They look like they're willing to implement some of these sustainable development goals. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I really want y'all to understand what they setting up right up in our face with this stuff, man. You hear me? I want y'all to understand the play that's being set. Right? This is serious, man. This ain't no joke, man. So when we're talking about SDG 17 partnerships for the goals, man, we're talking about the countries that have implemented sustainable development goals in their infrastructure and are getting funding via the United Nations from the IMF, the World Health, the World Economic Forum, all these global think tank organizations. They're giving incentives to countries who upgrade their infrastructures based on SDG goals. And the faster that you upgrade your infrastructure that are in line with these sustainable development goals, right? You're guaranteed to have access to this market, right? In exchange for access to your country's resources, which include the people. Understand and become global citizens, right? Y'all better understand what's going on, man. You hear me? Put a number 11 in the chat if y'all understand what's going on with this situation. Put a number 11 in the chat if you understand the severity of over, inner, outer, extra standing what is going on with UN Agenda 2030 for global sustainability. Put a number 12 in the chat if you do not. Because when I talk about it, I'm not saying y'all, but I'm just saying people. When I talk about it, people be like, I just don't get it. Like, but it's so simple, and yet it's so see-through as well, so predictable, right? So predictable, So predictable. So we got UN Agenda 2030 for global sustainability, y'all. This is the play then implemented globally, right? To establish these global systems. You're about to start hearing talks in the public about, and we're already starting to, about global minimum wage. All right. You're starting to hear talk in the media, mainstream media, about human settlement zones. You're starting to hear talk in the media about social credit systems. And I just want y'all to understand the play. I want to, like I say, man, it's already settled. It's already established. You know, there's really not, like I said, really not too much we can do as far as like stopping this from happening, man. It's already set in motion, right? It's already been settled, right? And that's what I want y'all to understand when it comes to this, is why I emphasize on how important it is, right? This is the setup for the global system, right? Smart grid system. You hear me? Metaverse, soon to come. All right. Mega structures, mega cities. You know what I'm talking about? Assigned housing, assigned employment. Y'all ready for that? Is y'all ready for that? Put a number 11 in the chat if you ready for that. What you know about, based off of where you live, or based off of what your assessment is, or based off of how you behave in society, that's going to determine where you live and where you work. What y'all know about that? What you know about how good you follow the rules is going to determine where you live and where you work. Right? Your social credit score is going to determine where you live and where you work. Much like in that episode of Nosedive I've been telling y'all to watch, man, on Black Mirror. That I see some of y'all still ain't sit up there and watch. You know what I mean? What y'all know about that, man? Y'all ready for that type of stuff, man? Y'all understand? Y'all understand where this stuff is going? Some of y'all probably gonna do all right, man. Some of y'all probably gonna do all right, man. You know, it ain't gonna be nothing for you. You know what I mean? It ain't gonna be nothing for you, man. It ain't gonna be nothing for you, man. You know what I'm saying? Some of y'all, man. Some of y'all gonna fall in line ASAP. Some of y'all gonna fall right on in line. You know what I'm talking about? And in theory, it sounds like a good thing, man. But you know, I play that video of y'all a whole bunch throughout this series, man. And people in China, you know what I'm saying, when they how they was talking about the social credit system, man, sounded like robots. You know what I mean? Sounded like straight robots.
recording. The author was open about his sources, other articles he had read online. Neither did he.
You're locked into level D for 5 years, right? So this is, when you're locked, not what you think, but it in fact is probably much worse than you think. Everyone likes to make this comparison of China's social credit system to the episode of Black Mirror, where the woman is basically in a dystopian future where everyone has this app and they're basically rated on their popularity, whether people like them, and they're rated out of 5 stars and they're segregated as such. So, for example, car rental companies won't rent to people below a certain score. People will judge you for being below a certain threshold, not invite you to events. Companies might reject you from jobs. But anyway, all of this is based on the ability of everybody else being able to rate each other. So it's not really the same as China's social credit system in that in China, nobody is rating each other. Another misconception I'd like to get out of the way first is comparing it to the credit system, the credit score system of the US. So I would think of things like FICO. Most of you are probably familiar with a financial credit score that rates your financial trustworthiness. It's intended to give creditors an indication of risk and how likely you are to repay your loan commitments. However, outside of transactions, a bad credit score does not prevent you from seeing your family or enrolling your kids in public school. In China, an individual's finances, social media activities, credit history, health records, online purchases, tax payments, legal matters, and people you associate with, in addition to images gathered from China's 200 million surveillance cameras and facial recognition software. By the way, do the math. That is one surveillance camera.
200 million cameras.
For every 7 citizens.
One camera for every 7 citizens.
What I want to talk to you today about is how actually your social credit score is rated, what it means for you, how you gain and lose points, and how the kind of tier system, the caste system that they've created actually affects people.
Man, y'all better get yourself up on game about this stuff, man. You hear me?
They're constantly monitored by facial recognition cameras that are able to instantly put a face to a name. Now, the Chinese are also ranked, given a mark out of a possible 950 points. A score in the 700s is considered good. Around the 500 mark is not. For now, the number is a sort of bank credit rating, keeping track of everyone's spending habits.
I think being ranked is a good thing. A society has to have rules.
I think being ranked is a good thing. A society has to have rules.
It forces us to be well behaved.
Forces us to be well behaved. Your government does not force you to behave.
It may seem scary, but it's just like that here. We're used to it. And anyway, we don't have a choice.
But in an effort to keep all of its subjects in line, Beijing is taking the system a step.
They don't have a choice. Y'all better understand what's going on, man. Understand that China has the biggest population on Earth. Understand that China, man, y'all better understand what this stuff means, man.
Further in 2020, it's aggregating data gathered by banks, private companies, and the state to rate if someone's a good or bad citizen.
By using the most data possible, the so-called big data, the system will play an important role in rebuilding a moral society.
The state will go over every detail of a person's life with a fine-tooth comb. Their financial situation, spending habits, career, even behavior on social media. Criticizing the government online or displaying outward signs of wealth is a no-no. On the other hand, praising the party or giving blood increases your social credit. Xiao Wen Wang is a model citizen. She lives in Nanjing, a testing ground for social ranking. Married with a child, she has a job in a retirement home, no debts, and she wouldn't dream of jaywalking.
As a good citizen, I respect the rules of the road. If I didn't, I'd lose points on my social credit.
In theory, everything can be taken into account.
Y'all see what's going on with this, man? This is in China right now. This has been going on in China for the past 15 years. Going on 20. China is one of the two largest countries in the BRICS bloc. Do y'all see how the play is being set? 40 more countries are said to be applying the, and when they say it's going to be political issues, the more countries apply, they're talking about sovereignty. They're talking about citizenry. We're talking about getting rid of a country's rights in order to join this bloc. Y'all better peep what's going on, man. Right? In all these countries, all these small countries, they want to become a part of the BRICS bloc so they can get access to the resources. And in exchange for that, applying to become a member of the BRICS bloc means that they're going to be willing to fully adopt UN Agenda 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. Peep the play, y'all. What are the biggest countries in the United Nations? China, Russia, United States, Canada, Brazil, South America, India, Australia, United Kingdom. Look at all the countries, man. Look at the go check out the list of 40 countries that's interested in applying to become the BRICS bloc, man. Look how many countries just joined the BRICS bloc that used to be American allies and parts of the G12 or whatever it was, G20 or whatever it was, right? Y'all gotta peep the play, man. Y'all gotta be able to peep what's going on, man. You hear me? United Nations, UN Agenda 2030 for global sustainability, right? Global sustainability means global government. It means the destruction, right? And we ain't gonna sugarcoat it, the destruction of sovereignty, the destruction of nationalism, the destruction of the American structure in Western society. What you think HR 1955 is all about? HR 1955 has the exact same applications because it is administered by people who are members of the UN. Every person who passed or signed for the UN Agenda 2030 or who signed for HR 1955, the Violent Radicalization, Homegrown Terrorism Prevention Act of 2007, every person that signed that into law, right, is a member of the United Nations. To some extent, in some capacity, whether it be through UNESCO, UNICEF, the IMF, the World Bank, the World Economic Forum, the World Health Organization, right? Y'all better understand what's going on out here, man, right? They setting up the global dominance. Remember I did the show on full spectrum dominance? Y'all remember that? Y'all remember when I did the show on full spectrum dominance?
Social school, even the most innocuous errands like supermarket shopping. When Xiaowen Wang makes an electronic payment, her purchases tell the state a lot about her. Buying cigarettes would count against her. On the other hand, nappies show she's an attentive mother. Beer could indicate alcoholism. She'd be better off buying water. In this pilot city of 8 million people, there are only 18,000 model citizens. For Xiaowen Wang, there are perks to be had, such as paying half price for the bus.
8 million people living in a city, Only 18,000 of them were considered to be model citizens, according to the new social credit system. Imagine that you got a city of 8 million people, and out of 8 million people, only 18,000 of them are considered to be model citizens, according to the social credit system. So, man, y'all, I'm sitting up here telling y'all, man, a lot of stuff is being allowed to happen, man, setting people up for the woo banger, man. Setting niggas up for the woo. You hear me? Setting brothers up for the woo. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Letting all this debauchery go on, allowing for all of this craziness to go on, just to set brothers up, set people up, man. You know, for the woo. Setting people up for the woo, man. You hear me? Setting people up for the woo. You know what I mean? Letting everybody get away with all this debauchery, you know, all this lasciviousness, you know, saying all this raunchy, nasty stuff, man, you know, just letting everybody just do what they want, you know, the most graphic, you understand what I'm saying? The most nastiest, disgusting things just being allowed to be purveyed and portrayed via online, ideologically based violence. Y'all ain't even peeping the play, man.
I get discounts for all public services, even at museums. And the library is free for me, thanks to my school.
A good score brings benefits, but people with low scores lose rights. The cinema names and shames people considered untrustworthy, plastering their details, even their addresses, across big screens.
It's a matter of principle. Those people have to be condemned.
Those people aren't honest, so they have to pay the price.
It's only right to pay your debts. You have to blacklist those that don't.
The Supreme Court has created a blacklist for so-called bad...
Y'all see how they have indoctrinated the populace? Turning people into straight slaves, man. Turning people into slaves, into robots. Completely devoid of empathy. You know? Y'all better understand what this stuff means, man.
Citizens, those whose ratings have dropped to 0. On it are companies, but also 23 million people to date. Among them is this journalist, Liu Hu. He got a little too close to uncovering corruption among high-profile party members. After being sued for defamation by the subject of a story he'd written, he was blacklisted. He only realized when he tried to buy a train ticket and was told he was banned from traveling.
That tells me I'm still on the blacklist.
Punished because he's been branded untrustworthy by the state.
Once you're blacklisted, you can no longer get a bank loan, start a business, buy an apartment, or even send your children to a private school.
Liu Hu is among a tiny minority of people who have dared to criticize the system, which some are calling a digital dictatorship.
I worry, because I think many people like me will be deprived of individual freedoms, and all of us will live with restrictions of one kind or another.
After our meeting, Liu Hu learned that his name had been removed from the blacklist, but he still has a long way to go if he doesn't want to languish at the bottom of the social credit hierarchy.
So, yeah, man, you know, I keep sitting here trying to tell y'all, man, what's to come, man, what's on the way. You know, social credit system, man. You know, that's what's on the way. Social credit system. right? And in order to get other countries to go along with it, they're going to sanction them economically, right? And the U.S. government, through the petrodollar, has been able to do this to other countries around the world. Now it's coming to a point where countries around the world are like, we're getting tired of having to fall victim and, under the bootstrap, under the heel of the boot of American embargoes and, American sanctions on trade and global taxes and stuff, man. People getting tired of that stuff, man. So what we're witnessing right now is the same time as they're destroying the United States economy, they're establishing the global economy. So in order for the global economy to come into fruition, the American economy absolutely must go. Right? It absolutely has to go. I ain't mean for that to rhyme like that. Right? It has to go, man. You understand? It gotta go, y'all, man. This system can no longer sustain. It's not sustainable. Right? We're in too much debt. Do you understand the debt that the United States government is in? It's not us that's in debt. It's the government that's in debt. Me and you, we ain't in debt. Right? We ain't in debt. But the U.S. government is. Right? And that's what the rest of these other BRICS nations have come to see. Right? And they understand that it's more reasonable going forward for them to become members of this bloc, United Nations Agenda 2030, countries that have fully implemented, if not all the way implemented, has somewhat implemented, if not fully all the way implemented, most of the SDG goals within the infrastructures of their countries. It will make sense to jump on board, roll with the winners. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I've been sitting up here trying to tell y'all about this stuff, man. And I ain't about to sit up here and sugarcoat it for y'all, man. I'm gonna be raw and uncut with y'all, man. Y'all best get prepared, man. It's about to get crazy in the country, B. You hear me? They letting all these illegal immigrants in. Our homeless populations is increasing. Resources for them is decreasing. The mega structures are being built right in our faces. Right? There's hella jobs available everywhere. Most of them, or some of them, majority of them are not paying living wages. Right? You got people who used to making $3 a day have an opportunity where they can make $12 an hour now. We're talking about assigned housing, man, listen, man. You hear me? Man, we about to get up out of here, man. I appreciate everybody coming out, tapping in, walking with us, man. Listen, y'all go study UN Agenda 2030 for global sustainability, man. You hear me? All right. Man. You know what I mean? This is the whole plot right here. This is the whole demo right here. How they're going to take over how they're going to infiltrate all governments of the world by subjecting them to weather weapons, subjecting them to sanctions, right? If they don't adopt these 17 goals within the infrastructure of their countries, what we're going to see is that the countries that don't basically fall in line with the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, right? What we're going to find is that they're going to be sanctioned. And it's starting with the BRICS bloc. Because all of the nations that are currently part of the BRICS, and most of them applying to be a part of the BRICS, are actually nations that are implementing or showing that they're willing to start implementing or willing to be assimilated into these other countries that are already implementing, if partially, if not fully, all 17 Sustainable Development Goals within their infrastructure. China, Russia, Brazil, India, Indonesia. Right? I want y'all to understand what's going on with this, man. This is the setting up of the global structure, the global system, global government. You know? Smash that like button, man. Click on the bell, subscribe to the page, man. Tomorrow night, we're going to be getting to it, man. You know? Tomorrow night is ladies' night, y'all. Y'all know how we do it, right? It's going to be a good one tomorrow, man. What y'all know about it, man? Recently, especially in Texas, and this is a very strange story, man, very suspect. It got me thinking about what happened a couple months ago with baby girl and old dude and them who got bodied down there in Texas, allegedly going to get a BBL, right? And they got bodied by the so-called cartels. They were going to the same clinic that these 4 chicks went to, where they got cosmetic surgery procedures done on them and unfortunately contracted fungal meningitis. And as a result of having botched, I guess, procedures at this facility, K3 in Matamoros, Mexico, the same city where old girl said to have went to allegedly got a BBL surgery done before she was accosted and her and old dude and then was bodied by the you know, they got fungal meningitis. All 4 of these chicks, none of them are black. All of them are Latinas, right? And, you know, of course, we're going to go in on this tomorrow, man. Has the price of beauty become deadly? You feel me? So, yeah, man, you know, y'all tap in, walk with us, man. All 4 of these lady girls was all right, man. Nice looking chicks, man. Nice looking broads, man. Got them botched BBLs down there in Matamoros, man. Your K3, man. They got that fungal meningitis. What's going on down there, man? We're going to get to it tomorrow, man. Tap in, walk with us, man. You know what I'm saying? Smash that like button, click on the bell, subscribe to the page. You did. Share on your social engineering, man. I appreciate everybody coming through, showing their support, tapping in and walking with us. You hear me? Tell everybody that you know that they need to be coming to tap in with the A Real Talk podcast, Stacks with the Facts, man. Tell them they need to come tap in, man. They need to come be a part of this, man. They need to come support this situation, man. Share on your social media, man, on your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, all of that, man. Your Snapchat. You understand me? Your Twitter. I mean, your TikTok. You know what I'm talking about? Share it on World Star. You did. Click that joint. Yeah, it's a wrap for natural beauty, man. You'd be hard for us to find a chick who just got her own natural hair and her own natural body. I'll be seeing these botched body broads. Ooh, these botched body broads when I go to the gym. Looking terrible. I'll give them at least a little respect for trying to at least keep it looking somewhat kind of decent in the gym. But, man, you be looking at some of these girls' butts like, girl, you know that ain't none of your butt. And the crazy part about it, they just watch what they eat, drink their water, get in the gym and do their workouts and their exercises, man, and, get on some of the machines, man. You have a nice butt. You built that little booty muscle you got up and it'll be looking how it's supposed to look. You did? You got to work for it, though, instead of twerk for it. Like my man Red Supreme TV One say, man. You got to actually get it up in that gym, man, and sweat, man. Hit them squats. You know what I'm saying? Hit them lunges, them calf raises. You dig? Them duck walks. You know what I mean? You want to get a nice little booty, man, you gotta work your booty muscle out with your lazy asses. Man, smash that like button, click on the bell, subscribe to the page, man. Tap in and walk with us. We about to get up out of here, man. Hey, I appreciate everybody coming to tap in with me, man. You know what I'm saying? Y'all could be anywhere in the world, but y'all right here with me, and I appreciate that, man. You know what I'm saying? Y'all could be doing anything right now, man, for real, for real. Y'all don't understand what it means to me, man. Tomorrow night, ladies' night, we get into it. Tap in and walk with us. I got another surprise for y'all tomorrow, early afternoon. You dig? Smash that like button on the way out, man. Talk amongst yourselves in the comment section. Get to know each other, man. You know? Get that engagement up. You know what I mean? Y'all have a good evening, man. We out, man.
Yeah. E&E.
Stacks with the Facts.
What up, Stacks?
I got my man Glitch the Guarantee on the track with me.
Glitch the Guarantee.
Yeah. And we bringing this message to you fake woke niggas.
Gotta wake these niggas up, man.
All y'all out there spreading them lies and falling victim to this propaganda.
Niggas believe in
Hey,
it.
Glitch. Let's talk to these niggas. Fake woke niggas be surrounding me daily, so I dance around them like my name was Alvin Ailey. Fake woke niggas be surrounding me daily.
Alarm clock, tell them up. Time to wake them up.
Fake woke niggas be surrounding me daily, so I dance around them like my name was Alvin Ailey. Fake woke niggas be surrounding me daily.
Alarm clock, tell them up. Time to wake them up.
I gotta set the alarm, wake you up from your slumber. Wake them up, Floyd and Harry, fake woke niggas, y'all dumbass niggas. Drop jewels, but people don't pay any attention. Now let's be immediately, we the wake them up henchmen.
A lot of times these woke niggas be really sleep. Shit, the price on a nigga's life is extra cheap. Only the real for my niggas, we all elite. We made a living eating these rappers, nigga, bon appetit. Yeah.
Pause. Me and my brethren be down for the cause. We gotta come together and tear down all these portals and illusory fault lines like racism and bring light to the woke, just like a Baptist.
The congregation spoke. These niggas ain't who they claim to be. A bunch of Peter pop-off niggas really be lames to me. Anytime you at war, it's gonna be casualties. The more we come together, it's easy to beat the enemies.
Fake woke niggas be surrounding me daily, so I dance around them like my name was Alvin 80. Fake woke niggas be surrounding me daily.
Alarm clock, wake them up. Time to wake them up.
Fake woke niggas be surrounding me daily, so I dance around them like my name was Alvin 80. Fake woke niggas be surrounding me daily.
Alarm clock, wake them up. Time to wake them up. Alarm clock to the woke. Time to wake them up. The main initiative should be to get your cake up. You wave riding niggas need life jackets to stay afloat. Meanwhile, I'm blowing on gas straight from the Ivory Coast.
And every post I be hitting y'all with them straight facts. The smart grid is now here. We gotta face that. While they coming with microchips and vaccinations, fake woke niggas perpetuating indoctrination.
Fuck this pandemic scam. This was the damn gimmick. Niggas will believe that they mom died if she's still living. Open your eyes, nigga. You can see the lies, nigga. We gotta stop letting the blind lead the blind, nigga.
And that's the biggest fact, which you better tell these niggas. This Agenda 2030, it's gonna be hell, niggas. Fuck AOC and her new green deal. I'm Neo in this bitch. Who want they red pill?